welcome to the Magic Mirror. Welcome to the Magic Mirror, and as you can see, today we are going to talk about Metroid. Metroid was actually one of the games that I haven't tried myself, so this is just going to be me talking about my personally experience watching others play it. So yeah, something I was really surprised about was it came out in 1986, and this side-scrolling style. I have definitely seen this before, but yeah, I was just so surprised about the way that she moves and stuff like that. And yes, it's a girl. I know that's mind-blowing. Actually, in the early stages of the game, I do remember watching one of my friends play it, and when he completed it, she took her helmet off, and he was just like, "Oh, it's a woman." I didn't expect that. Actually, I know like he could do it so fast, so she was in her underwear. And that was pretty insane because like now I'm looking at it, it looks really hard. It doesn't look like a game that's for the ones that are doing stuff that are not hard, or how to say that. Even though like side-scrolling games always in one way or another have been hard for at least me in the times that I have tried the side-scrolling games, this is one of the ones where I feel like you're playing through, you're following Samus, you're following this story, you're getting like ingrained into like everything that the game has to offer. And especially something I do remember from it was it being like a little bit frightening or horror-ish, like being like on the sidelines only watching, not playing. I will say it didn't affect me that much, but I do remember my friend having like nightmares about the Metroid monsters that are coming and sucking out your brain or your bag and sitting onto you, and he was imagining stuff like it's sucking blood and stuff like that. I don't know if they do that in the game, but I just really feel like that was insane. So yeah, there's of course Samus in her suit, having this gun that she shoots with, and again, I have not tried. I think like there's different guns you can get for her or different forms to shoot with, but again, here I'm a little like on bare bones, so I'm going to leave a link to, of course, the game down below and everything that there is in here. Something I was also really impressed by was how the new game looks, because like that looks really pretty. It reminds me a little bit of Warframe or the Bioshock or stuff like that. So yeah, and now myself, I have played Bioshock, but I have never played Metroid. But I actually think like the newer game is something that I could have given a go if I really wanted to, because like it looks pretty cool, with this being like in first person and zooming in and all of this good stuff. And of course Samus looks pretty neat in her suit, and it's also good for us that we have like a kick-ass woman to look up to, and we have stuff like that that's really good to have, and especially in those days where like it wasn't that common to see women in video games. So it's like there were the damsel in distress, so being the main core character, that was something completely new, and something that was definitely new at that point. Something I also remember from the games were actually the music. As I said, sitting on the sidelines was really fun for me, and the music also had this deeper, dark undertone. Some of the music was also pretty happy, and you were just like, what's going on? Are they trapped in some sort of alternate universe where it goes from like really, really dark to really, really lighthearted? So yeah, you sometimes got a little confused about that, but I will admit, like, seeing my friend play through the game, the bosses in this game is like something I have never seen before. Like, I've seen bosses from Final Fantasy, and I have seen the boss from Soleil, and Soleil's last boss is like compared to Metroid's like first boss, because like Metroid's bosses were just like really badass, like these aliens and of course monsters that came towards you and stuff like that. And of course, there were the enemies in the game as well. That was also pretty unique and something that I think was a really good thing to think up, because like I do believe like we have seen enemies like that in Diablo and like games that came out later on, but in those days like it was hard to find a game where like not only did the procrastinator or the main character have a special something about her, but also like that there were these enemies that was really hard to get by, and like the levels were really hard to get through. I do also believe that there were some kinds of puzzles, but it wasn't that much in these games. I could be wrong. Again, sitting on the sidelines, I only seen him like roll in the suit, like she could roll around almost like Sonic, and roll all sorts of weird places around, and shooting levers from the walls, so she could like jump onto boxes, and like she could find secret areas in the walls, or she could like do other stuff that was really unique for me to watch. And I do remember having a lot of fun watching the game. As I said, like not trying it, it was, I guess I tried it one time or something, but it was just like too hard for me. Even though like I have tried stuff like The Lion King and yeah, stuff that I feel like that is pretty hard. I think like this is up there. A game that it actually reminds me a little of is Mega Man, and I know like you guys are probably going to be like, oh, what? It has nothing to do with each other. But I must admit, like this side scrolling, it reminds me a bit of that, like, and the levels that she goes through, and her being with a gun shooting things. Yeah, kind of, sort of. But again, the monsters and the bosses makes it different. The sound, the overall feel of the game also makes it different, because like Mega Man is more like upbeat and yeah, I'll not say hopeful and joyful, but like where Metroid is like really dark and should be like a whole another universe where you're taking in, and there's all of these monsters and stuff like that. So yeah, and as I said, I have only seen it. I have not like played it. Actually, I was thinking about like there were supposed to be a movie or there should be a movie with Metroid, but I don't think I have seen one yet. That's also something I'm actually looking forward to a little bit. If they're making a Metroid movie, I don't know if that would go over well, but I actually think like that could be a pretty good idea for their new movies. Now they're recreating everything into real life movies. I do believe like that one could be a good candidate for a good movie. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but this was actually all that I had to say about Metroid and Samus, and I do really feel like that's a good thing. We have women even in those times kicking ass, and yeah, I feel like this game has also shaped a little of my childhood, and like as I said, watching it from the sidelines were a great experience for me. Maybe it's not that much for me because like I'm not into horror and stuff like that no more, but I do really want to try maybe to play it. So yeah, that's it, and you have a great year.